Let's talk about it. Come on and shout it. I talk, you talk, we talk. Women talk life. It ain't no surprise. Baby, you could see if you would open up your eyes. You won't understand if you can't open up your mind. So let's stop wasting time when women talk live.
And welcome to part 2 of Women's Talk Live Overnights. I'm your girl, April J.
I'm your girl, SassyScribe.
And this is KO Boogie.
The
And we,
delay is
yeah,
KL.
yeah, delay.
That's that inside joke. She is
Yeah.
delayed.
But we are still with
Uh,
Charmel McMillan, and she has been sharing with us her very, very powerful story.
A
Um,
miracle.
yes,
A
definitely a
walking
miracle.
miracle, people. A
Yes.
walking miracle.
Now, outside, you did kind of give us your process of how you wrote, and then suddenly, so do you want to share that with our audience?
Well, the process was, pretty much the same for both books. Like literally God dictated the book to me. With just one thing, I had never been an author before, but I worked with major authors, and I thought I tell a good story. And so I thought I should be able to write a book. And so once I decided I wanted to have something, once my foundation took, footing. And so I said, I need to have something. So I tell my clients always have, something to leave with people or some way for them to connect with you on a deeper level when you do interviews and things of that nature. But I didn't have anything and I was launching this foundation. And so I thought it was a good idea. Then I realized after 12 horrible pages in 6 months, I was like, this is not it. It is not coming together. And so I prayed one day and I said, God, do just one thing one more time. My whole career has been a series of defining moments that you set forth in motion. I said, do it just one more time. And I looked up 3 months later and I had a book. I don't remember the process, but I remember sitting with my master editor and feeling like I'm reading along with her for the first time. And I was like, well, it'd be good if she talked about this next. Like, it's not me. That's what I felt reading the book. And it was a similar process for, and then suddenly, you have to keep in mind, I'm healing from all these different things at the same time. And when I got out of the coma, my mom came to me and I'm in ICU. And she said, I hope you're journaling because your story is going to change lives. I was like, I can't even use my hands. You know what I mean? So my hands weren't
Right.
even working yet. And so I thought about it. And so once I, taught myself to write again in one day after that, test we talked about in the first segment of the show, um, I just sat there all day long teaching myself to write again, not knowing I'm recovering from a major stroke.
Mm.
And I was able to sign books and stuff. People were buying books in the hospital, which is crazy. And so I'm signing stuff in from my ICU bed and for nurses and stuff. And so um, every night, God would wake me up, and I just remember praying. I had all these notes that I had taken, and I sat on for a year. And so I prayed and I said, God, I don't know even how to start this book. And so God told me to start at the point of action. And so that's how, and then suddenly starts. I'm laying in bed in searing pain, and moving any part of my body made the pain intensify. That's pretty much verbatim how the book starts. And so then I go into whatever direction God told me with that first chapter. And I had chapter 1. And I sent it to my editor, not knowing where to go next. I said, what do you think about chapter 1? I think I'm ready for chapter 2. And so I prayed and I said, God, I don't know how this is supposed to go. And then I think chapter 2, let me try to remember my full process and what happened next. But chapter 2 came to me, um, and I knew it was supposed to be called I'm Looking for a Miracle. And I wrote
You
that
got it.
down and I wrote chapter 2. And so after I wrote chapter 2, I sent her chapter 1 untitled because I didn't know what that was supposed to be called. After I wrote chapter 2, I'm looking for a miracle. God told me chapter 1 was slipping into darkness.
Mm.
And so because it ends right as I'm closing my eyes, the anesthesiologist is counting down.
Wow.
And so with the rest of the chapters, 3 through 9, God told me what they were supposed to be called. So I woke up one night in the middle of the night, wrote down the titles, didn't know where to go. And God would wake me up in the middle of the night and I would write to those chapters. And I just dictated in my phone, like literally I'm talking into the phone as God is speaking through me. And that's how the book got completed. That's how, um, and then suddenly happened. And so I looked up, maybe a month later, the book was done. The draft of it was done. And I didn't see it coming together. I would keep praying, and I don't know what this chapter's supposed to be about, and I would let it go. And then God would wake me up, and I dictate the whole chapter. And so that's kind of how the book came to be. And so I'm gonna tell you about the cover, which I'm very proud of.
Mm.
I guess you all can kind
Oh,
of
that's
see it.
cool. Yeah.
Um, I went through 7 graphic artists, and I didn't want to. And I know the best of the best. I've been in entertainment sports management for, like I said, almost 3 decades, and nobody was getting my concept. And I said, I needed to look like a dandelion in the storm. I said, because my first book, Just One Thing, was this like bright thing of hope and promise and everything else. And so, is it showing? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it was this bright hope of everything, with a dandelion on the front. I said, I need this dandelion going through a storm. I said, because it's going to be the sequel to Just One Thing. Whatever happened to the lady who trusted God against all odds, who had the phenomenal career and the unbelievable client list? Whatever happened to her? And then suddenly happened. And so one day I just started working on a cover concept. And I said, well, God, I'm going to do this because the book is done. It's been edited and everything. I'm just going to put this out on the first run of the book. And I had one of my graphic artists help me with the title. I said, I need it to look like Just One Thing, reminiscent of Just One Thing. So he did the font. But I said, we're going to go with this picture and I'll redo it after the first run because I got to get this book out. I got an event. So
Right.
um, after this,
Understood.
I went to
Right.
I went to my Children's Cancer Foundation gala, right? So I've been on the board of directors for the Children's Cancer Foundation for 20 something years. And so I always have the first page ad for the last several decades. And um, I've always given Christmas to the children, for the last 25 years or more at all the hospitals we service. And, bought gift cards for all the children and stuff like that for the last 20 something years. And so when I got to the gala, some of my guests were already there. And so at the bottom of my promo, it had something about the new release of the book. And it's like, we tried to go online and order it right now. Do you know how we felt about Just One Thing? It said it's not available for 2 weeks. So one of the ladies said, let me know when it's available. So I called her and I said, the book is available. She said, I'm coming to get it in person because I want it signed. And so when she got there, she ordered 7 copies. And well, she asked for 7 copies instead of one. And she said, I love this cover. I'm so in love with this cover. And I was like, I did that. So that's how the cover came. And so people just kept writing me fan mail and saying how much they loved the cover and how it resonated with them. And I kept it. I thought it
As
was a
you should
draft.
have.
I kept it.
Yeah, absolutely.
so,
Why not?
so it was
It
nobody
was
but
a
God.
beautiful
Yeah.
mistake. A
Yeah.
beautiful.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't want to do something and God is trying to spread your wings.
Hmm.
I've designed
You didn't
covers
need
for
a graphic
other,
designer.
yeah, I
You
just
didn't
got
need a
done
graphic
covers for
designer.
clients,
Yeah.
but I couldn't figure out how to do it for myself. And there it was. So,
Very nice. Very nice. So tell us a little bit about, you said you have this new podcast. So tell us a little bit about that.
yes, my new podcast is called And Then Suddenly After the Book. And like I said, I wanted to resonate with people. My platforms, guys, people have always loved my platforms. And so there was a show I did back in the day with April and her company. What was it? WPG help me.
WPBB. Yeah, well, WPB
Yes.
radio. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
WTV Radio.
Uh-huh.
And so, if I'm not mistaken, I think I was one of the premiere shows on there, and I was bringing on the celebrity guests and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes.
I did a show called "It Is What It Is: How Men Think." And so,
Mhm.
initially, I had Walter hosting it. I produced,
Mhm.
created it, booked it, everything, called in all
I
my
remember
friends and
that
stuff
show.
like that.
Mhm.
And then I took it over, the last few episodes, and um, then the vice president of programming for XM Sirius called me and said, "I want that show with you hosting."
Mhm.
And so I didn't want to do that because I thought, it would look bad for me to like take over the last few shows and then all of a sudden I get a deal from XM Sirius. I don't know, maybe I was crazy. But I had to know about this back then too. So I was busy. So
Yeah.
I didn't really care about radio.
Yeah. I
So
mean, it was one of the highest rated shows. I mean, we had several. We were able to have several high rated shows, and that was one of them. So yeah,
thank you
absolutely.
so much.
Mhm.
So during the pandemic, I got bored because everything shut down for our industry, so we were all in the house. So I revamped It Is What It Is: How Men Think, as with me as the host, and would book 3 to 5 guests per week on there and did Zoom. So, everybody's on there, and I had over 250 men in less than a year on my platform. Everybody from NBA All Stars to all of Drew Hill came on for my birthday, old and new, and spent 2 hours. Like it was conversations that hadn't happened on social media before. And people would write in and they would comment that it's like we get to watch you hang out with your friends and they talk to you like they don't realize thousands of people are watching. And so they said, "You humanize celebrities for us." I said, "No, they've been human. You put them on a pedestal. I
Right.
just have fun with people I know." And
Right.
so that's why
Mhm.
it works. So now the new podcast is more of the same, except I've been through something traumatic and it happens suddenly, but it's not what you go through. It's
Mhm.
how you navigate it and how
Amen.
you come out better on the other end.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm inviting my guests. I want to know, about some of the unexpected things in life, good or bad, that you had to navigate and you came out better than you were before. So my first guest was Ryan Davis. He had a breakthrough moment on there. He said, "Char, look at you." He said, "I got to call my parents now." So because a lot of times people carry stuff they've talked about on stage, but he had breakthrough moments about it on the show.
Wow.
And then the next 2 days later, I had a Griff from Get Up Erica in the Morning, and he's like, "You ain't gonna have me calling on this little show." So, but it's great conversations,
Okay.
and I'm a good listener and I let God have his way no matter what, no matter what we're talking about. And so it's been some amazing episodes, before this podcast, over 400 and something guests. And I think it was a total of 200, no, 100 and 250 episodes, I think, between the two platforms before I got sick. And so I stopped, suddenly, and now I've picked it back up. Coming Tuesday is, like I said, Ben Stevens, Curtis Duncan from Family Business will
Oh,
be with me. And after that, I think this Thursday, I'm highlighting artists that I like and I think are ones to watch out for. So there's this young guy who's gone viral for Judge Judy Mob Boss
mm,
on TikTok and on IG. And he said, "Judge Judy sounds like a mob boss." So he's acting out what she's saying and sinking. I was like, this guy is an actor when I saw him. So we
mm,
ended up talking. So I'm highlighting him on Thursday. And then the following Thursday, I have one of the top 10 from last season's American Idol, the young gospel singer who was 17 years old, who used to usher in the spirit every week. And so Kanan James Hill will be with me and
wow.
talking about his journey. And so I just loved him. I said, "There's no way that man has lived that many lives at 17." Because I mean, he was just on a
Wow.
whole nother level when it came to singing gospel. Jamal is talented and can blow, but it was just the anointing on this young man's life, and he wasn't even legal yet. So I said, I
Wow.
got to talk to him. So
Yeah.
I reached out to him while he was still on American Idol. And the hiatus or the parlay has been me. I had to like reset, and
Mm.
listen to my body, and with the healing and stuff like that, I've learned to do that. So that's where I've grown in terms of setting some boundaries for myself. So
Can you reach out to Nicolandria from Love Island?
no, I haven't. I guess I could.
I'm telling you, listen, this young couple, it's a young black girl and a young white boy who were
uh,
so authentically themselves, which is ironic for reality TV. And
Mhm.
April and No, I'm obsessed with this couple because I always talk about them.
Mhm.
But it's their
okay.
Yeah.
authenticity
Yeah.
that
Okay.
comes through. She's a black girl from Alabama, he's a white guy from Florida, and
Uh-huh.
they just click. And now they're in a full-on relationship. So
Okay.
I think you definitely reach out to them.
Well,
Alandria
shoot me a
Carlton.
note.
If you go on your Instagram and just search Nicolandria, you'll see it.
Uh-huh.
The fandom
Well,
is phenomenal. She just won Ebony's top 100 influencers.
Wow.
That's how her
okay.
fan base made her win that. And she was up against Audra Day. I think Tiana Taylor won, but she was up against Rihanna
Mm,
and she won.
okay.
Wow.
Yeah, somebody text me the spelling and everything, and I'll make sure I look it up.
I'll text
Gotcha.
it to April because I don't have your information. But I'll text it to April and tell April to text it to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've you've always had like this presence about you. I think that's why when we first met, it was kind of like a yeah, it was like a click because you just had this really really nice presence. So, um and I'm glad you reached out to me. You know, it's not often that you know, people that you have gone through your life, sometimes you know, don't hear from them or you don't speak to them. And as you said, you never know what people are going through ever.
Yeah.
So,
Ever.
the fact that you reached out to me and shared your story, I mean, it actually blessed me. It really did. Like it made me had to say, you know what? There's been times I've been like, you know what? This ain't working for me. So, but I have to realize that I have to keep going. I have to keep
You do.
going.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
it's very very inspiring.
It's extremely inspiring.
It
April talked about you for like 2 weeks before you even came on. She was telling us her story. And
yeah.
when I read your bio, I was like, damn, I feel like I haven't done anything. I'm a slacker. I'm like a loser. What have I
Not
done?
the L on
You
the plan.
graduated, you were valedictorian, you was a GPA just made me look like I was stupid.
Yeah, it just
Oh
feels
my
like
goodness.
no time has passed, and
Mhm.
so when I think that it's been decades, and I don't feel like it, and they tell me I don't look like it,
You
and
don't.
so, but it's just been decades of, blessings and, you know, more blessings than trials as far as I'm concerned, but my specialists say when I decide to get sick, I hit the jackpot. But the blessing the blessing is, even like I said with the test came back with no infection in my body. And
Mhm.
so they just kept the IV in one arm and the midline in the other and kept administering antibiotics for 5 more weeks just as a precaution that we can't find the infection in your body. As they didn't understand that. I knew what happened. And so then when I got out of the
Mhm.
hospital, 3 months later, my blood numbers have returned to normal, like nothing happened. There are no blood clots in my body, and all my
Oh my
blood numbers are
gosh.
normal. And so the head of hematology at Georgetown said, "Your blood numbers are better than mine." And he said, "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." I said, "I just been praying." And he said, "Clearly." But, my blood numbers have been normal. They did a scan just to make sure they were seeing what they thought they saw. And I think it's called an angio scan or something like that over your whole chest cavity. There were no
Mhm.
blood clots in my body. And so, God, as quickly as God, allowed catastrophe after catastrophe, he performed miracle after miracle in front of them also, and removed
Mhm.
everything that was done.
Yeah.
And so I just I know that God is able to do anything.
Mhm.
Doctors may have given up hope, but God is a specialist.
Yeah.
And um,
The
I
healer
even
of
healed
all
from
healers.
double spine.
Mhm.
Yes,
What they
I
say,
healed from
he's a
double
doctor
spine
that never
surgery with
lost
no
a patient.
meds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I healed from double spine surgery with no pain meds. And so they wanted me on heavy duty narcotics and all kinds of stuff. And I told them I didn't want to be on that once I came out the coma and understood what they were doing.
Mhm.
And I prayed and asked God to take away the pain. and I didn't have any more pain for the remaining 5.5 weeks I was in the hospital. I had to lay on my back because I'm paralyzed. I have 27 staples in my back. I didn't feel anything.
Oof.
And so the doctors would come in, what are you taking for pain? I said, nothing. They, what do you mean, nothing? I said, I'm not taking anything. You're not in pain? No. And I would
Mhm.
lay flat on my back, no pillow. I can't do that now. That was nobody but God.
Mhm.
They're like, you don't want a pillow? No, I'm fine. And
Mhm.
I laid that way for 5.5 weeks. I mean, they would get me up for therapy and they would airlift me into my wheelchair and airlift me into, the lounge chairs you have to sit in to make your back heal and all of that. But I laid there and slept through the night in the hospital, you know,
Oof.
and that was nobody but God. you
Yes.
know I
Absolutely.
mean, some people can't heal from something minor without pain medicine, but to heal from double spine surgery and have a 12-inch incision down your spine and not take any pain medicine
Yeah.
ever,
That's a
You
that's
miracle.
can
God.
see the light of God shining through you. As
Mm.
you
Ab-
really can.
Thank you.
As you talk, you can
Absolutely.
really you can see it. And I know me from the outside looking in, and you're in the entertainment industry, and I just hear so much negative information coming out of that space. You have to be
Yeah.
a light in every room you go in with
Mhm.
these sharks and these vipers that they have in that industry. I see
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Like,
I
oh, she's
I
different. We can't play with her. That's one of God's special children.
Yeah.
We can't play with her.
Yes.
I would say everybody's on their best behavior with me. And so I've never really had any, but it's not like they feel uncomfortable. They feel uncannily comfortable with me. That's why my shows went so well. And they would sit there and kick it and talk about stuff they never talked about live before. And, it's just a different energy, because one, and I talk about it in the book for the first time. And then suddenly I talk about, the connection I've had with so many entertainers and sports figures and politicians and all of that. And it was a revelation period that God took me through years ago. And so somebody asked me how long it took to write this book. I was like, a lifetime, because I've been preparing for it, and then suddenly for a lifetime, not knowing being prepared for the storm of a lifetime. But it's been progressing my entire life. And so there's the gift of discernment and prophecy and revelation that God gave me years ago. And so I look into people's eyes and see the things I'm not supposed to know. But that means I can see where you don't know you're about to go also.
Mhm.
And so um I think almost impossible when people feel uncomfortable around me, because I see your truth without acknowledging it. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And I'm not there to judge you. I'm not there to make you feel weird about whatever you're doing in your life or how you've done it or your mistakes or, your fears, your frustrations. I see them all without having to say it out loud. We both know I see it,
Yeah.
and so I'm just here as a vessel. And so I've carried myself that way throughout the industry. Now, I was talking to somebody from Sony movies or something the other day, and I was like, I know I've danced with demons, but they've been on their best behavior around me.
Mhm.
You dance with
So,
some demons.
Hey, listen, I
and
know.
I was like, I was talking to one of my friends, and um, he said to me, you need to reach out to Rob, who is AKA R. Kelly. And I said, to talk about what? And he said he liked you when you all worked together. And so he was so sweet and such a gentleman all the time. And so I don't know what people will do. I can't speak for or against them. I
Mhm.
just know how they are around me.
Mhm.
And so, I said, I told him, I said, I don't know if, he's ready to talk to anyone or if he needs to. He probably needs some time alone with him and God.
Mhm.
I said, but tell him that I know he's not an angel, but I don't think he's a demon either. I said, and there's a big gap between those two. And
Mhm.
I said he just needs to have a conversation with God and realign himself with who he was created to be. I
Mhm.
don't even think when people say they want to cancel him, and I'm not trying to send to about him, but I'm saying in general too. But when people say they want to cancel him, they don't understand his body of work and his level of influence is bigger than his sins. He's released gospel albums while he's in jail, and they have gone viral, and people don't know it's R. Kelly. His body of work is huge.
I
And
didn't
so
know
if you
that.
cancel him,
Wow.
I
you
had
got to
no
cancel
idea.
half of R&B. You got to cancel half of gospel. You got to cancel a whole bunch of stuff. You cancel him. You
Mm.
take everything he's created out of the equation. You ain't got no music left.
That's why I only listen to
That's how
Prince.
influential he is, you
Uh,
know. And so he's not an angel, but I was like,
mm,
I don't know if people always deserve to be completely demonized. You
mm,
know, there's some rock star status going on for a lot of people who've gotten into trouble. I can't
right.
speak for them, but I only know who I've encountered,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so I pray before I go anywhere. I pray before I deal with people. I move differently, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So we met years after he wanted to meet. And so there were times when I'd be in Chicago and my business associate would say, "Oh, go by the studio. He's waiting to meet with you. It is 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going back to my hotel. I'm not going to meet with anyone." and so, and so,
What?
and I mean, he even did it with, like, you know, Floyd Jr. He was like, "Oh, he's in town. Run over." I'm not running anywhere. It will happen in God's time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've maintained that standard across the board since I've been in entertainment. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a groupie. I'm not going to rush and try to do anything. Everything happens in God's timing,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so, and I maintain who I am and whose I am in my dealings. You know what I mean? That's not to um, portray perfection or anything like that. I just know why God sent me. I know the reason for which I came,
Right.
you know. And so it's to be a blessing and not a catalyst to foolishness,
Mm.
you know. So I'm gonna get you where you
Amen
need
to
to
that.
be, but I'm not gonna be a part of your foolishness,
Right. Exactly.
you know.
I
So
like the
That's
fact
listening
playing
to
that
the Holy
games.
you.
Spirit.
Listen,
I like that
Jim,
fact that you are unbothered by
everything.
the celebrity because they're a man or a woman
Mm,
first, and
Yeah.
that's.
yes.
I like that. I
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you allow the spirit to move through you, that you
Yes.
understand, that your discernment and intuition where it comes from, and that you were patient
Hmm.
enough to be still and listen. And a lot of people don't have that ability.
Right.
And for
Mm-mm.
everything that you've gone through, it just resonates on so many levels because it's like transferable skills
Oh, Gab, you breaking up.
Hey, Elle, you're breaking up.
Gab. Oh, she breaking up.
You're breaking up, baby.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Wait.
Yeah,
Well, I
but
wanted to hear
yeah,
what she
she
was
always
saying.
yeah, sometimes she has some issues.
We
That's
always tease her.
we
She
do.
will break up. See, she'll freeze. I'm sorry. You broke
Well,
up
Right.
when you
well,
were in
I'm
the middle of a
Shartown
very
ENT
Can you
on
profound
hear me
statement.
now?
Instagram. You can shoot me a DM with your question, love. I was like, I'll respond to it.
Yeah, I gotta
But
actually
No.
follow you on Instagram. I'm on all platforms of SassyScribe, so you'll see me.
yeah,
I
I'm
think except
Shartown
for one.
ENT on everything.
Okay,
CHARTOWNENT on
ENT.
everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely. Let me just go ahead and follow right now.
So, real quick, tell everyone where they can get your book.
They can get both books, actually signed copies, by ordering directly from the website, char-town.com. And so both of them are on the home page. And that's the easiest way. There naturally there are other ways to get it, but
Hmm.
that's probably the easiest way to get a signed copy if that's what you want. So this is and then suddenly, I don't know if I can
Yeah.
hold both of them up. I don't
Yeah.
know which way up
No,
the
it's
camera
fine.
goes.
It's fine because
Okay.
I'm coming to get our signed copies. So, I'm
Okay.
coming to
Yeah,
get because we're supposed to meet for
April, and
lunch
I'll send you
anyway.
the money for them. I'll send you the
Yeah.
money for the book.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. But
Yeah.
Great.
yeah,
I'm
no,
getting a
because we're
couple
supposed
for
to have
Christmas
lunch.
gifts.
So we gotta have
Yes, we
lunch.
are.
We yes, standing date.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to set a date and I'm looking
Absolutely.
forward to it. And
And
but yeah, I it's just it's been a blessing, you know, and having my own publishing entity has been a blessing, not knowing I was ever going to become an author, but having my own publishing entity and working with so many authors in addition to, you know, the other clients and everything, and knowing the literary world like I do beforehand was more than a blessing, you
Hmm.
know.
mhm.
And they used to pay me on Clubhouse to speak and to educate about the business of entertainment and actually the literary world too, you know. And one of the reasons that I make sure the primary place to pick up my book is on the website is because it takes the same amount of energy to build an engine for another platform as it does your
Yeah.
own to
No.
drive sales there, and you actually get paid. You
Exactly.
know, I refuse to do, you know, this is me. I refuse to do Amazon Central for my books. And because I'm not buying them back from y'all. And I'm a national speaker. And so
Hmm.
I need my stuff at point of purchase. I'm not buying them back.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so I need to own
Right.
everything. In the and it's in the record world, it's the masters. I need to own the originals of everything, and I'm not buying it back from some other entity.
Right.
So my publishing houses are the ones that I've used for years for clients, so that replication can happen, so that things can be shipped wherever I need it to be shipped in the country. With I'm sorry, I'm drying out. It's hot in here.
No,
I'm by the
it's
heater.
fine. You're fine. You're
So,
fine.
but I have to have stuff on demand, and so you have to know what works for you. You also have to where your relationships are in business. I can't do anything without teaching, but then you have to know where your relationships are in business and how to maximize those. You need to figure out where your market is so you can corner it. you
Mhm.
know and understand the business of whatever it is you're doing,
Mhm.
and be prepared for success. One of the things they asked me when I spoke at Congressional Black Caucus one year, I was talking on DNA of success, and they said, "What do you think the biggest downfall is for businesses?" I said, "You're asking me about Black businesses. They don't prepare for success. They don't prepare to sell out. And that's why you have chicken places running out of chicken. And like, what are we
Mm-hmm.
doing? You didn't think you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna sell out?" So
Mhm.
you got to
Yeah.
prepare
And
for
Right.
I went to Burger
success.
King. They ain't had no burgers, so it ain't just them.
Yes, and those are franchises.
It's a
But
franchise.
also not even being those are franchises. It's not the
Yes.
Burger King Corporation.
Right.
So it's
It's the
whoever owns that Burger
franchise.
King. I
Mhm.
bet you not in certain areas and they run out of burgers.
Mm.
You're in an area where that
I'm in,
franchise ran out of
I'm in a
burgers.
whole bunch of. I'm in a whole bunch
So
of.
you know what I'm saying. So same thing. You're not
Yeah.
preparing for
Right.
success.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And
If
that's
it's
the
in
good
your
thing because you
logo,
don't prepare for it. It's like the
right,
ones that we see that do prepare for it, the first thing they do is prepare and sell.
Mhm.
Prepare and
right,
sell. And they don't
right.
keep it and learn how to scale. Or they end
Mm-hmm.
up like a couple of the people we know, I'm not going to name them, but we know them buying their franchises back, buying their
Mm-hmm.
businesses back because
Yeah,
it wasn't done the way in which they wanted to do, to be done.
Mhm.
yeah.
They don't have the
I
same
think people
passion.
don't
But
understand business, and
Mhm.
so your main product can't be part of the logo, and you run out of that. That's
Mhm.
crazy. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
I think
it
a
goes
lot of
into
people
that, but
pray for stuff that they don't expect God to deliver, and that's why they don't prepare. Like you pray for it and you ask
Mhm,
God for it, but you really don't have the faith and the fortitude to think that He's going to deliver on that which He told you He would. And
Mhm.
some people
yeah,
don't understand that because
and
sometimes,
on a major scale,
Yeah.
don't lowball God. Don't lowball
but
God.
sometimes God gives you a no. Like one of the things that I noticed from what you were saying was sometimes you had to wait. Sometimes you're like, I'm not running after this. It has to happen
Right.
organically. And that's a lot of the things I have to tell people when we closed the location, they were like, well, what are you going to do? Why don't you just do this? Because God didn't tell me to move yet. And I got to
Uh,
wait to see what he says. And I know that this person, this man set this deadline, but I'm still waiting for God to tell me yes or no. And you may
yeah,
go through things you like, well, sure, I'm waiting, and this negative thing has happened, this negative thing that happened. And the more I started to realize and trust that he know what he doing, he got it. And when it came through not the way I wanted it to, I had to understand that sometimes God say no.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to accept that no and understand and appreciate it in the same manner which you appreciate a yes, because
Right.
it's all for your
yes,
good. And that's one of the
Yeah.
blessings that I got from what you said. I so appreciate everything that you said about your journey, but it's your relationship with the Almighty and your faith and that belief that really
yes,
resonates with me. And I'm so
Yeah.
grateful that we had this conversation. And blessed is beyond how I feel having met you and
Yes.
had this interchange with you. So
Yeah.
I'm
You have
really
to invite
grateful.
her
thank
to
you,
the
love.
soft launch of the cafe. You have to invite her to
Yeah.
Oh,
the
I
soft
would love to. Oh, honey,
launch.
yes, yes, yes.
We'll talk. I'll let you.
Yes.
Offline,
We'll talk, Charmel. We're gonna talk.
offline.
Okay,
I have
sounds
at the
good.
house for Thanksgiving. Keep talking to her. Like, where you at? You up the road? Come
Honey,
on over.
But yeah, thank you so much for taking
Yes.
time out to
yes.
sit with us and tell your story and just be
Woo, blessings.
inspiration to not
And a
only
light.
us but whomever listens to this podcast. Because I mean, like I said, we
Thank you
talked
so
about
much.
this, and I was going to make good on it, and you know the conversation we had. I was gonna make good on it. I just wanted to make sure that we had everything in place for you to come on and talk because,
Yeah.
like I said, it was an inspiration. And as always, anything you ever need, anything that please don't hesitate to reach out because for
Okay.
me, I will have. It's not a problem for me to help at all. So anything
Okay.
you need, please don't hurt to reach out to me.
Include me in
And
that. Include
yeah,
me in that. I
Yeah.
would love to
Just
just be
include all
around
of
you.
us.
Whatever you
yeah,
guys,
Just
yes,
include
Thank
whatever
you
all
you
of us.
got
so
going
much.
on, whatever we could contribute, let me know.
right,
And
right.
I'll
Thank
be
you
the
so
background
much.
and your
I am
foreground any
honored.
day.
I appreciate it. I really do. And I appreciate you all allowing me to be one of your first guests on your platform. And I'm honored that you asked me to come and share what God has done in my life and continues to do, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna have lunch. We're gonna set a date.
Yes, very soon.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Thank
let me
you
get
so
my
much.
yes. Let me get my final thought for today. People do not understand your silence. People who do not understand your silence will never understand your words. And that's my
Amen.
final thought for today. So again, thank you again. And I don't know. We could just end.
We thank our special guest,
Thank
Charmel
our
Yes,
special
McMillan of the
guest. Yes.
author, and
thank
then
you.
suddenly in an amazing, miraculous story that
Right.
she just shared with us in two parts. So
Exactly.
thank you.
Exactly. All right.
And what
This
about your live? Tell us how to reach you and how to watch you online.
IG Live Tuesdays and Thursdays, Chartown ENT, T is in Tom, OWN is in Nancy, ENT on all platforms, but on IG Tuesdays and Thursdays live. That's where all the guests will be live, and they'll be on
What time?
YouTube, the next day. Huh?
What
Oh, 8,
time is
8 p.m.
that?
Eastern Standard, Tuesdays and
Okay, eight.
Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard on IG Live. And so that's where you can watch it live, and it'll be on YouTube later.
okay. All
You better
right.
come and get
Okay.
your blessing.
Yes.
You said what now, love?
Come and get your blessing.
Okay.
Because I'm blessed. Yes,
No,
I'm
no,
coming
no.
for
She's
my
talking
blessing.
about you.
I'm
No,
Talking
ready.
she's
about
telling
people
people to come
listening.
to your
Oh,
show to
come
get
and
their
get your
blessings.
blessing.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
Yes,
It's
Yeah.
been
ma'am.
it's
yes,
been
yes, yes.
amazing. It's been amazing. I just pray. I literally pray and just ask God to have his way in every aspect of my career with clients. I've told them for, decades, like tell me something tangible because I can't pray about your thoughts. So just give me something tangible. Like we want to sell out. Okay. You say it like it's going to happen. It is. I just need to know what we're praying about, And so God has orchestrated a career and a life and a lifestyle I could have never dreamed. And I guess my final thought on that would be, God bless you exceedingly abundantly above what you can think or ask. I had an interview with Malik Youssef, 8-time Grammy winner, Tony Peabody Award winner, all things Kanye West and Beyonce's Lemonade, and all that stuff. Super producer. We were talking on one of my shows before I got sick, and he said, I realize what your secret is and why you take no L's. You engineer success. And he said, you were an engineer for a purpose. He said, you don't put anything that's not going to work. And that includes careers. And so that would probably be the best way to say it. One, I pray for guidance. I ask God to show me what to do. And then we engineer success, and that's what it is. And so God has a plan, God has a purpose. So there was a reason I was an engineer first before coming into this industry, I guess.
There you
All
go.
right.
All right. There you go.
All
And we
right.
will end it there.
Yeah.
This is Women's Talk Live Overnights with your girl, April J.
I'm your girl, Sassy Scribe.
And this is KL Boogie.
And thank you, Charmel, again for coming
Thank you so
on.
much. Thank
All
you.
Thank
right.
Yes.
you.
All right. Bye, y'all. See y'all next week.
Women talk live.